Okay, so about 24 hours ago, we left you with the news that Elon Musk and his band of misfit boys geeked out on Zyn were just ready to take a peek under the hood of the U.S. government and all of its financial systems and vital infrastructure and just start pulling on wires until something breaks.
Have you tried turning it off and on?
No, we're going to destroy it first and then figure it out from scratch.
Okay.
Or in the case of the Federal Aviation Administration, which just suffered its worst air disaster in 2 decades, Musk claims his Gooner squad will be deploying, quote, safety upgrades to the air traffic control system.
Grok.
And I don't know about you, but that certainly doesn't make me feel more safe. In fact, I'm justifiably worried that he's deploying artificial intelligence to try to solve everything. And no one should feel comfortable with Musk and his war boys beta testing stuff on important government systems. I'm sorry.
Witness me? No, thank you. I will not witness you.
And we'll get into the agencies that have been targeted next. But first, it looks like one of those gooners is actually a groiper. And that groiper was dicking around with these government agencies for the past week or two at the behest of Elon Musk.
So many words, none of them biblical. Now we know, none of this is shocking at all. The chances that a young Elon Musk fan also has some fucked up views on race, pretty high at this point.
Yeah, you would assume that would be the case.
Especially when it's kind of all Elon Musk seems to want to talk about these days. So it comes as no surprise that one of Musk's little boys has already been forced to resign after people just dug up his very public, very recent, quite racist posting history. Here's the Wall Street Journal. A key doggy staff member who gained access to the Treasury Department's central payment system resigned Thursday after he was linked to a deleted social media account that advocated racism and eugenics. Marco Ellis, a 25-year-old who is part of a cadre of Elon Musk lieutenants deployed by the Department of Government Efficiency to scrutinize federal spending, resigned after the Wall Street Journal asked the White House about his connection to the account. This you?
Damn, they got me. My very public profile, which, by the way, he was posting all this stuff. I get to it, but while already employed for Musk before the DOGE thing.
Well, that's the Elon way, posting on the job.
Quote, just for the record, I was racist before it was cool. The account posted in July, according to the Journal's review of archived posts. You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity. The account wrote on X in September. Normalize Indian hate.
Oh, shit.
The account wrote the same month in reference to a post noting the prevalence of people from India in Silicon Valley. After the Journal inquired about the account, White House spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt said that Ellis had resigned from his role. And this 25-year-old, which is one of the oldest,
That's probably why Vivek
of the bunch,
had to leave. Marco didn't like him.
Yeah, exactly. 25 years old, that is on the upper end.
Yeah, that's nearing retirement from Musk's Teen Boy Squad.
But he was one of Musk's lackeys who had access to the Treasury Department and their payment systems. And despite these posts coming out right now, Ellis had been employed by Musk previously, working on projects like Starlink and also X's artificial intelligence development before signing up to join DOGE. And those weren't hardcore enough. And that's what's crazy.
Super
is that
hardcore.
the posts, the very racist posts that have all apparently happened within the past 7 or 8 months were while he was employed for either SpaceX or X as well.
Yeah. How do you think he got the job?
Yeah. So I guess he's out of Doge now, but we could only assume that he's going to just go back to his previous job at X, which he was apparently doing. To the great satisfaction of Elon Musk, who sees all of these posts as a positive.
This is also the guy who, according to Wired's reporting, had gained not just read-only, but write access to the Treasury Department. And, not great to have a groiper, gooner, Zyn-munching, broccoli-headed Zoomer back there pulling out the wires and plugging some of them back in. No, not into that.
Well, now he's resigned, which, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Are we sure?
I'm going to need someone to keep further tabs on this little Nazi here.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we move on, a quick update on USAID, which was one of the first agencies to face the wrath of Doggy for having the audacity to send humanitarian aid around the world. How fucking dare they? If for some reason you're not caught up, good news. We have a bunch of episodes leading up to this one where we've talked about all of it.
Yeah,
Hours and hours of just pure fresh hell.
So many of the stories that we've had to cover in the past couple of days, we usually like to give context to things, but we can't because things are happening so fast that it would waste the entire episode talking about.
Hey, Rip Van Winkle, you got some internet today to catch up on.
Yeah.
But it looks like this agency actually is doomed after a week of Elon ripping its guts out with the full-throated support of Vice President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just a few days later, here we are, and with Secretary of State Marco Rubio at the helm, this man has so many jobs now.
Yeah.
He is the acting director of like 5 different agencies now.
And the most important one is creating a perfect Spotify playlist for his boss, Mr. Trump.
It's very, again, this is another classic, like, fasci, but it's also a lot of the communist regimes throughout the 20th century did this, but the fascists really pioneered it of just giving like the big guys in the party like 5 different fucking jobs. It's like, oh, like, you're the fucking head of the police in the state of Prussia, and also, fuck it, I don't know, you're in charge of the Air Force too.
Yeah.
And architecture, I don't know, do something with that.
Yeah, you're really busy. Just don't focus on anything at once.
So it was announced that the USAID workforce will be reduced from over 13,000 employees to just around 300.
Wow, that's a lot of jobs taken away from Americans.
Yeah, I don't know how much aid you're going to be able to do with 300.
I'm just saying a typical conservative campaigning point would be job creation.
Well, here's
and this
the thing.
is job destruction.
Here's the thing. USAID, take out the D.
Yeah.
USAI.
That's right. That's the smartest thing anyone's done. And you were very efficient about it.
Yeah.
You reduced one letter and expanded.
Don't even need to change the logo. You just pull the D off the building.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even stripped of all other context, I would assume that the president being responsible for over 10,000 people losing their jobs would be a strike against them, like, especially because once again USAID is a blip in the overall federal budget, and it seems pretty clear that it's been targeted for reasons that have very little to do with financial oversight or efficiency or anything of that nature.
Yeah, labor groups representing USAID workers immediately filed lawsuits aimed at stopping the agency from being dismantled by Trump and his team. Here's CNN. The suit against Trump, as well as his Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and their agencies, argues that the president is exceeding his authority in violation of the Constitution and federal law. Attorneys for the labor groups are asking the court to order the administration to reverse actions it took to shutter the agency and, quote, halt any further steps to dissolve the agency while the litigation continues. Not a single one of defendants' actions to dismantle USAID were taken pursuant to congressional authorization, the lawsuit states. And pursuant to federal statute, Congress is the only entity that may lawfully dismantle the agency. The groups say that Trump's recent actions amount to an unlawful power grab of congressional authority. The dismantling of USAID, including its foreign service members, has thrown dedicated public servants and their families into chaos and uncertainty. AFSA President Tom Yazgurdi said in a statement Thursday, "These professionals have spent their careers advancing America's interests abroad, only to find their livelihoods upended overnight. The consequences of this disruption go far beyond individual careers. It weakens U.S. leadership and undermines global stability worldwide."
That's not the only trouble that the Trump administration's run into in just the past 48 hours or so.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, we spoke about those resignation offers that were sent out to millions of government employees. The ones that made them a seemingly non-binding offer for severance as long as they agreed to leave their jobs and signed an agreement saying they wouldn't file a lawsuit to recoup the money that they've almost certainly given up by signing this document.
The document was basically like, you
We'll
resign, you're going to get money, and guess what? You probably don't have to work all this time. But if we decide to not give you the money or just fire you,
we can do that.
We can just do that. And what are you going to do? Sue the government? Good luck. Get in line.
You just said you wouldn't sue him.
Yeah.
Anyone who saw how Musk handled those resignation offers when he took over at Twitter would know not to take him at his word.
Mm-hmm.
And if you trust Trump on anything, and Elon too for that matter, you honestly deserve to get ripped off at this point. So luckily, out of the millions and millions of offers that went out, only around 50,000 people took them up on it. And that's thanks in large part to the unions who went out of their way to tell folks not to sign or reply to anything because nothing's been approved through Congress and they could simply not pay you or fire you anyway.
Yeah. That was the threat too. They were just like, by the way, at midnight, Yeah, that's your last chance. And by the way, tomorrow morning we might just fire you. We
Yeah.
might just fire you.
My understanding, too, based on reporting I've heard, is that the vast majority of the people who took the offers were people who were already planning on retiring soon.
Yep.
Were like, I'm too old for this fucking bullshit. I guess I'll just retire a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but even that can cause problems. We saw the early retirement stuff that happened with the airline industry during COVID and ended up causing some disruptions for quite a while.
Yeah.
When you have people in these positions who have done it their entire lives and have great experience in it, they are kind of hard to replace.
Unless you got Grok on the case.
That's right.
Well, now a federal judge has stepped in to temporarily block the employee buyout of the federal government.
Yeah.
Here's ABC News.
Federal judge on Thursday temporarily blocked the Trump administration and DOGE head Elon Musk from implementing their fork-in-the-road federal employee buyout offer until at least Monday afternoon. U.S. District Judge George O'Toole, Jr., set a Monday afternoon hearing to consider further blocking the so-called fork-in-the-road offer. More than 2 million federal employees had faced a midnight Thursday deadline to accept the Trump administration's deferred resignation offer, as O'Toole considered an 11th-hour request to block the buyout from moving forward. 4 unions, representing a combined 800,000 federal civil servants, argued that the offer is unlawful, arbitrary, and would result in a dangerous 1-2 punch to the federal government. But of course, it's not just the Treasury Department, the Office of Personnel Management, the FAA, the humanitarian aid. That's not all that Musk and his gremlins have involved themselves in. They've also apparently infiltrated the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, basically the country's vital weather services. Remember how we spoke about them during, the hurricanes?
Yeah.
All of that very important information that keeps people alive and informed.
And also, notably, the source of much of the information
Yes.
that, the private weather industry relies on.
Yes, your local meteorologist, where do you think they get the information
So
from?
much discussion of this over the past year or so. It's been like, well, why don't we just let the Weather Channel do it instead? It's like, where do you think they get their information?
Yeah. But yeah, Musk has decided to set his sights on NOAA, and it's, in my opinion, almost certainly because he is on the hunt for Joe Biden's weather machine.
Yeah. Always,
He's gonna find proof.
always making the weather, that Joe Biden.
Yeah. And if you thought Joe Biden was reckless with the weather machine, wait until you see Elon Musk.
Hey, look, pretty cool, the hurricane, right? I'm going to name this hurricane Hurricane 69.
X42069 Theta. Here's The Guardian.
Staffers with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency reportedly entered the headquarters of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, in Silver Spring, Maryland, and the Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C. today, inciting concerns of downsizing at the agency. They apparently just sort of walked past security and said, "Get out of my way," and they're looking for access for the IT systems as they have in other agencies, said Andrew Rosenberg, a former NOAA official who is now a fellow at the University of New Hampshire. They will have access to the entire computer system, a lot of which is confidential information. Rosenberg noted it had been a long-time goal of corporations that rely on NOAA data to prevent the agency from making the data public instead of giving it directly to private corporations that create products based on it, such as weather forecasting services.
Like AccuWeather and the Weather Channel. And just like with everything else, DOGE has put their booger fingers in since Trump took office. This is illegal. It's illegal, everyone. Look, it's illegal. He's breaking the law. See, no one cares.
The vast majority of what he's done as president
Is illegal.
has been illegal.
But apparently, no one cares.
Doesn't matter. Laws aren't real.
The article continues. Rosenberg argued there was no legal authority to abolish NOAA or reduce its budget outside of reducing it through Congress. There's no real transparency. They just show up wherever they want, do whatever they want. They're following through on major budget cuts and major staffing cuts, Rosenberg added. I think the strategy here is, well, we're just going to do it and dare somebody to stop us. And by the time they stop us, we'll have destroyed it. Yeah, that's what we've been saying too. That's the whole plan.
Moving fast and literally breaking things.
Yeah, and then once they say, well, actually, you can't do that.
Too
Well, guess
late.
what? It's already fucking broken.
Too late.
Yeah. And just like everything else, the ripple effects of this will be felt by everyone. The organization cited impacts of cuts that could include overfishing, increased imports of illegal or unethically sourced seafood, threats to endangered wildlife, and threats to life and property without its weather forecasting and data resources.
Seems bad.
I love the idea of just dismantling NOAA right before another hurricane season.
Well, that's the thing. It's all hurricane. The whole year's hurricane season.
Yeah.
Whole year's fire season. What do we need NOAA for?
Yeah. It's all bad, right? Just turn on the bad.
Look out your window. There's probably something getting destroyed by the ecos.
Ironically enough, it's pouring down rain outside here right now.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Musk, and your weather machine.
I mean, it is cool that it's raining. A little bit too little, too late, but I'll take it. Anyway, this all comes while it was announced that Musk is already hard at work creating a brand new chatbot for the U.S. government. Oh, who could have seen this coming? So it goes without saying, but based on everything that everyone has seen from artificial intelligence over the past few years, do you really feel safe letting an AI, specifically not even one of the good ones, one developed by Elon Musk, do you want that set loose in government services with a goal of efficiency, but also a nifty little side bonus of just devouring extremely important, potentially confidential data in the process? Because I don't.
Yeah.
With more on Musk's GSAI, here's Wired. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency is pushing to rapidly develop GSAI, a custom generative AI chatbot for the U.S. General Services Administration, according to two people familiar with the project. The plan is part of President Donald Trump's AI-first agenda to modernize the federal government with advanced technology. One goal of the initiative, which hasn't been previously reported, is to boost the day-to-day productivity of the GSA's roughly 12,000 employees who are tasked with managing office buildings, contracts, and IT infrastructure across the federal government, according to the two people. Musk's team also seemingly hopes to use the chatbot and other AI tools to analyze huge swaths of contract and procurement data, one of them says. Both people were granted anonymity because they aren't authorized to speak publicly about the agency's operations.
And
he's also he's directed the GSA to just cancel rent, like stop paying rent on all of the.
Oh well, that's a classic Elon.
Yeah,
which is like, okay,
just cancel all the leases for every government lease.
What are they gonna do? That's what he's gonna say. What are they gonna do?
It works with Twitter.
It's easy to feel pretty helpless amidst all of this, but at least elected officials are starting to appear to give a shit and start fighting back against this unelected ketamine addict who is dismantling the government piece by piece. One step in the right direction, despite being blocked by Republicans, was an attempt by Democrats in the House Oversight Committee to subpoena Elon Musk, leading to quite the dust-up.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's outrageous that this committee will not even entertain a motion.
No, you state your
Chairman, that's not a point of order.
Somebody
You know,
who's breaking
I
the law
agree.
and
Point of order.
dismantling our federal
There's
agencies.
been a demagoguery. You're
Acquiring
You're out of order.
federal
No, we're not listening to demagogues.
data,
Out of
and
order.
you will not
Out of order.
even
Out of order.
entertain a motion
The
to
motion
bring
is
this
out of
to
order.
the
This is
president of
demagoguery.
the
This is out
oversight
of order.
committee.
Are in favor of tabling.
Yes,
signify.
let's have order in this
Mr.
country.
Stansberry, you're out of order. You know you're out of order. You know the rules of this committee. There's been a motion.
Mr.
and a
Elon
second to
Musk is
table.
out of
No.
order and dismantling.
He's out of order.
God.
I call the question. There's
Elon
been a,
Musk.
there's
So obviously this didn't pass. And unfortunately, that's partly because some Democrats didn't show up, despite
Wow.
claiming that they would have voted in favor of this.
I wonder which congressional district the representative who didn't show up represents.
Maybe it's Silicon Valley.
Huh.
Here's Politico, which has also been wrongly targeted by the Trump and Musk
Oh, my
administration. in
fucking
recent
God.
days. Yeah, we'll get to it. One Democrat was conspicuously missing from the vote. Representative Ro Khanna of California, who represents Silicon Valley and has a longtime relationship with the billionaire.
Oh my God. I can't believe you've done this. Khanna said he missed the vote and said he was unaware it was happening. But three Democrats familiar with the run-up to the vote, who were granted anonymity to describe what ensued, said Democrats were given a heads up about the maneuver to try to catch Republicans by surprise. In the end, the motion to subpoena Musk was shut down by Republicans on the committee in a 20-19 vote, with 8 lawmakers missing the vote, including Khanna. Khanna disputed the suggestion that he missed the vote on purpose, saying on X that he would have voted yes. They called a procedural vote without notice, and I, like 8 others, didn't make it there on time, he said in an X post. Musk's attacks on our institutions are unconstitutional. He should be subpoenaed and answer to our committee. They should call the vote again with notice. Musk responded to Khanna's post, writing to him, "Don't be a dick."
It seems like a couple of friends just playing a little theater. Also, they're like, yeah, me and the other lawmakers didn't show up. And guess what? Those other lawmakers that didn't show up were Republicans. There was like one other Democrat, but
Wow, so they could have done this.
That was the goal, was to surprise it and then get this.
Nothing cool ever happens.
Nope. Anyways, the whole Politico drama is that Chairman Musk and Prime Minister Trump are upset that people in government subscribe to a premium government news membership through Politico for exclusive news stories and insider information about the industry that they work in.
Yeah, so,
it's like
you know,
having
like-
a subscription to the Hollywood Reporter or Variety.
Literally, like if you've ever worked in management or anything in a business, like I hope you have enough business sense to be subscribed to like the local business journals and like the trade magazines that reports about your industry, because there's a lot of useful information in there. And for if you work in the government,
having access to all this information seems pretty fucking.
Seeing how everything's being reported about your industry would be pretty useful, I'd say.
That this is like a political bias thing is weird, because it's basically what they're complaining about is just a pro version of the news site that actual members of government use to stay informed, and also wonks. Of course, wonks love it.
Dorks.
So they saw money being spent on news, not money that was granted or like appropriated or whatever, but just money that government employees were spending. And they claimed that Politico was basically getting subsidies or grants, despite selling subscriptions like any other media site. So that's the drama with that. And those are subscriptions that, shockingly, people in that industry might be interested in.
Interesting.
It's like an agent being like, yeah, I got a copy of Variety. Oh, I guess William Morris is funding Variety.
What I saw today, I don't know if you saw this. They've canceled that, not only the Politico subscription, they've canceled all subscriptions,
all media,
including the Treasury Department's access to like Bloomberg, not just Bloomberg the magazine, but like the actual fucking like Bloomberg stock market shit. That's like the most vital tool you can have if the economy is something that you're focused on, which the Treasury is. No.
Yeah.
I remember Michael Bloomberg. He ran for president as a Democrat.
Bad boy.
Yeah, and he took away everyone's sodas.
I want my big gulp, and I want it now. But speaking of buying a subscription to a media company that you enjoy, there's no sponsor today.
Oh, thank God.
So we'd like to take a moment and say that it's really cool when people click the join button or the thank button to support our show. We try not to mention it so often, but it does get people to sign up, and it gives us a consistency that eases a lot of anxiety. So no sponsor today. You're the sponsor. Now let's get back into the news so that we can get out of here a little bit quicker. And yeah, we do have more fucked up and frustrating news, of course, but I'm doing my little mental health break here and putting in a silly story before we get back to the horrors. And actually, this one is no prize either, because it deals with judicial malfeasance. But it's as good as you're going to get today before we get into Trump gutting the Department of Education and trying to turn Gaza into Atlantic City. A New York state judge has been forced to resign after he tried getting out of jury duty by claiming that he just knew that every single defendant brought before a court is guilty by default. He's like, I'm a judge. I know how to get out of jury duty. I know exactly what to say. And this is definitely not going to come back to bite me.
Yeah, wait. Where did you say you worked again?
Oh, I'm a judge, like right down the hall.
Oh.
And you're saying that you automatically assume that everyone is guilty? Yeah, this is obviously extremely troubling for a judge to say.
But really exciting for someone who's been convicted by that judge.
Yeah, because that might get expunged. And yeah, Occam's razor, he probably was just trying to get out of jury duty, but who knows?
Yeah. Don't implicate yourself in like workplace misconduct. Just say something insane or racist.
That would come back to, the Larry David approach. With more on this, here's local outlet KSL.com. An upstate New York judge has resigned after he got out of jury duty by claiming that he couldn't be impartial because he thought everyone brought before a court was guilty. Richard T. Snyder, who had been a justice of the Petersburg Town Court for about a decade, left his post after being charged with misconduct by a state judicial commission, officials said Tuesday.
What an idiot. According to court transcripts, Snyder tried to avoid serving on a jury in 2023 by first identifying himself as a judge and then saying, I know everybody comes in front of me. I know they are guilty. They would not be in front of me. He was eventually dismissed from serving on the jury after he continued to argue that he could not be impartial, saying, no, it would not be fair. Sorry. They're all guilty in my eyes. I don't care.
Just look at my track record.
I don't care what evidence you show. I don't care what you lawyers get up to.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to walk back his comments and clarify what he meant, attempting to explain that, quote, I meant that they were guilty because they did something wrong. But they're not guilty till they come to court. They're innocent till proven guilty, he told the commission. They did something wrong. That's why they got a ticket. But they're not guilty, he added.
Huh, sounds
I'm
very
a judge. I know how it works.
Sounds like a very confusing response from a person who clearly knows how the law
No,
works.
listen, I know they're innocent till proven guilty. Okay?
Can you not type the winks into the newspaper article, please?
Listen, Your Honor, prosecutor, defendant, we all know how this works, guys.
Your Honor, my honor, we know what's
We all
going
know
on.
how this works, yeah. Innocent until
Wink.
proven guilty.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
In a statement, the administrator for the State Judicial Conduct Commission said that it is bad enough that a judge would seek to avoid such a fundamental civic responsibility as jury service. It is astounding that the judge would claim an inability to be impartial and to declare under oath that the accused must be guilty or they would not be in court, he said.
Oh, sorry, I didn't think of the implications of what I was saying to get out of jury duty.
Really didn't think this one through.
Whoops. Oh yeah, I took an oath, didn't I? Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Listen, they called me in for jury duty, but it's fine. I got easy way to get out of this. Works every fucking time. I just tell them that as a judge, I assume everyone who ever goes to court for anything is guilty.
yeah, it's the American way.
As a judge,
Guilty until
as
proven
a
innocent.
judge who actually convicts people and sends them away, I know for a fact they're all guilty.
Yeah. Well, look, we all did an oopsie. I might have illegally gotten out of jury duty, but please do not send me to jail because I have improperly sent a lot of people in.
Yeah, it wouldn't be cool to send me to that place. I know a lot of them in there, and they're probably
And they're all
mad.
guilty, by the way.
All of them.
But wait, here's some more good news. The Proud Boys suffered a catastrophic legal defeat earlier this week when a judge awarded the trademark to their name and all of their symbols to a black church that the alt-right gang vandalized back in 2020. Here's the New York Times.
You can't call them the Proud Boys anymore. You have to call them the Big Gang.
Hey, who's not excited to see the big gang?
Oh, here come the Big Gang.
Yeah. The Proud Boys no longer have control over their own name. Under a ruling by a Washington judge on Monday, the infamous far-right group was stripped of control over the trademark Proud Boys and was barred from selling any merchandise with either its name or its symbols without the consent of a black church in Washington that its members vandalized. In June 2023, the church won a $2.8 million default judgment against the Proud Boys after the organization's former leader, Enrique Tarrio, and several of his subordinates attacked it in a night of violence after a pro-Trump rally in December 2020.
The ruling by the judge, Tanya M. Jones-Bozier of the Superior Court of the District of Columbia, effectively means that Proud Boys chapters across the country can no longer legally use their own name or the group's traditional symbols without the permission of the church that was attacked, the Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church. The ruling also clears the way for the church to try to seize any money that the Proud Boys might make by selling merchandise like hats or t-shirts emblazoned with their name or with any of their familiar logos, including a black and yellow laurel wreath. In a lengthy statement, Mr. Tarrio said the church should have its nonprofit status revoked and Judge Bozier should be impeached. Their actions are a betrayal of justice, he wrote, adding, I hold in contempt any motions, judgments, and orders issued against me.
I declare. I
am a sovereign citizen.
What's that one company's probably going to be upset. I mean, they already were upset because you can't really sell
Like
that shirt
Fred
anymore.
Perry or whatever?
Yeah. Now this Episcopal church can go after Fred Perry.
Yeah, and I believe like the Proud Boys, like the actual symbol that they use as their symbol isn't theirs. It was from that company that made those shirts.
Yeah.
Like, please, we're gonna stop selling the fucking shirt, you assholes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, let's ease you back into the horrors with a
Oh, the
story.
horrors. How I've missed the horrors.
It will slowly lower you into that molten iron, just like the Terminator. But yeah, this story is certainly ridiculous, but it really obviously makes us feel for all of our friends and viewers who have autism or Asperger's and are clearly not Nazis. Because apparently Kanye West saw what his friend Elon Musk was able to get away with on stage at a Trump rally back on Inauguration Day.
Remember that 4 years ago, Inauguration Day?
And a big old cartoon light bulb went off above Kanye's head, as it always does, probably while he was on the red carpet with his naked wife. He was escorted out of the Grammys apparently at some point.
Yeah, you can't just, I mean, listen, she was wearing a dress. It was just like saran wrap, but like, yeah, what do you think was going to happen? Also, gross.
Yeah, so a light bulb went off. He saw the full-throated salute, and he's like, bing, I got an idea. He can be a Nazi too. But it's okay because Kanye is now, he claims, autistic.
Yeah.
That's right, folks. Kanye West has officially announced that he's not bipolar like all those pesky medical doctors think. Actually, he is just autistic, and therefore he's free to do.
That explains it. That explains all the Nazi stuff for sure. Because as we've
Same
seen,
with Elon Musk.
as
it's
we've seen,
clearly a symptom.
autism makes you a Nazi.
It doesn't, obviously. For everyone watching, just to be clear.
I'm joking, but new data comes out every day.
Yeah, and since Musk and Kanye said it's true, and then there's no other news organizations that exist, we have to believe it.
Yeah, you say you hate Hitler, but like, did you know Hitler was neurodivergent?
Now, how bad do you feel?
Kind of ableist.
Here's CNN with more on this. I went to this doctor. My wife took me to do that because she said, something about your personality doesn't feel like it's bipolar. I've seen bipolar before. And I've come to find out that it's really a case of autism that I have, Wes said. Wes said the diagnosis has helped him better understand himself. Autism takes you to a Rain Man.
Oh my fucking God.
Wes said. When people tell you not to do it, you just get on that one point. And that's my problem. When fans tell me to do my album a certain way, I'll do it the opposite way, he added. West referenced his song Can't Tell Me Nothing and people close to him. I haven't taken the medication since I found out that the bipolar wasn't the right diagnosis.
Oh, good.
On the Download podcast this week. It's finding stuff that doesn't block the creativity. Obviously, that's what I bring to the world. It's worth the ramp up as long as y'all get the creativity.
He's autistic, like the Rain Man. Like the movie, you know the movie Rain Man?
Yeah.
That was an accurate, scientifically accurate portrayal of what autism is for everyone who has it.
No.
And that's what he's got. And he's going to stop taking all that bipolar medication. Doesn't need it anymore. All he needs is a little bit of nitrous from the dentist.
More nitrous, please.
From that beefcake dentist of his. And he's got that covered.
Yeah.
He's paying out the nose for it, but he's got it covered.
Nitrous, please.
So, great. He's off the meds again and is instead just letting it ride, I guess.
Unlocking that creativity.
This insane wife of his. That's like crazy to be like married to not just any bipolar man, but Elon Musk and be like, hey, maybe you should get off the meds. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're not claiming that Kanye doesn't have autism. We're certainly not making fun of him if he does in fact have it. But it's not making folks with autism feel better knowing that a bunch of rich and powerful assholes are using autism as an excuse for their repeatedly awful behavior.
Yeah, it's actually a dick move to do that.
It's not really how it works.
Not at all.
No.
As everyone has put, because, yeah, we have a few viewers, obviously, and people have pointed out, like, hey, by the way, I'm on the spectrum, and I don't do Nazi salutes or say slurs on a constant basis.
We shouldn't let this be normalized.
No.
'Cause there's a lot of people on the autism spectrum who, they don't need that shit in their life.
Dare I say, the majority of people.
Yeah, we've already got, like, the R word making a really bizarre
comeback.
Comeback. We don't need, the autistic community doesn't need this Nazi association.
All right, though, back now fully to the horrors.
Take
because,
me.
as we mentioned on our most recent video, Trump and his buddy Benjamin Netanyahu
BB.
seem to have a lot of big ideas about what to do with Gaza. And folks, their plan is quite literally, by definition, ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, also, it's only big ideas. And that's what drives me crazy about this.
No
is,
other ideas.
Like, it's like,
Gotta do it.
Step 1, evict every person in Gaza. Step 5, profit.
Yeah.
Like, have they even clarified, like, who would own Gaza? Because
No,
they're
Elliot,
talking.
that's the point.
Like,
the point is to leave it a mystery until it's too late. The point is to say that they're going to invite all of the Palestinians
no,
back
I know
to
that.
this
but,
beautiful
like,
place, but then not actually ever fucking
like
do
they're
it.
talking. Some of the discussion about it has been like it would be like an American like territory or something, and I'm just like, wait, what?
Listen, Elliot, the problem is that you're trying to put rationality to this, or trying to think about it in terms where it could legally actually be done, and that's not what they're doing.
I don't think there's any way.
They're
this could
declaring
legally
what
be done.
they're declaring what they're doing, and then going to attempt to do it and hope that no one stops them.
That's obviously the goal.
Yeah.
But like you'd think they'd have a better cover story for it because this
No,
is
they just don't care
ridiculous.
anymore. They literally don't care anymore because no one has shown any effort to push back against anything so far.
Well, not
in a significant
not
way.
in this country, but like these people have, if you are gonna in fact evict like 1 million fucking people, like they have to go somewhere, and none of the countries that Trump seems to assume would just let them in have entertained the idea at all. They're like, first off, fuck no. And also, if you do this, all the hard work that the U.S. State Department has put in for the last 2 decades to make us friends with Israel will be completely undone.
Yep.
And we will revert to like a late 90s, early 2000s situation.
It's
so
not,
maybe don't.
Not the greatest plan, I don't think. And also fucking clearly horrific for the Palestinian people who are
Horrific, but also
it's been announced that they will be ethnically cleansed from their homeland.
horrific, but nothing new.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, like at least 1948 had the pretense of a civil war. This doesn't have any fucking pretense. This is just like we're gonna do some ethnic cleansing.
I mean, honestly,
For just because we want to do ethnic cleansing.
it really appears like this was the plan the entire time, because if you look at the photographs from Gaza, like they bombed it to the point
Yeah,
where it is impossible to
planned
rebuild.
demolition.
Yeah. And yeah, there's no beating around the bush. They are talking about forcefully moving millions of people out of their homes and land and into other countries entirely. And this announcement was met with obvious pushback from everyone in the world except for Israel. Even members of Trump's own party were, at the very least, baffled by this plan or caught off guard by it, because it's, illegal.
Yeah, also there's a lot of people in the MAGA movement who really don't like Jews and have opinions about Israel specifically that are kind of counter to the administration. And those people have been letting their voices be heard on
Yeah.
Twitter saying, why do we want to kick off the second 9/11 era for Israel?
Also,
Just for their benefit. Why would we do that?
As you'll see from the elected officials, outside of any moral quandaries they may have, it's just why are we spending money on this?
Yeah.
From a strictly fiscally conservative viewpoint, they're saying, aren't there
Right.
more important things to focus large amounts of money
That's
on?
what drove me crazy during the last year of Biden's term, was just even if you don't give a fuck about any of this, from purely utilitarian perspective, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why are we fucking putting our rubber stamp on this? Why are we giving them our money?
No, this is something that will haunt the United States for decades to come, the same way a lot of other things do. It's awful, and it's awful to have not directly, but live in a country that was responsible for it. Anyways, we should reiterate that pretty much everything Trump has tried to do so far is technically
What's
illegal,
one more crime?
which is why so many end up being put on hold by federal judges. All these orders are just immediately going through the motions and getting stopped. And the fact that this is not only morally reprehensible, but also illegal doesn't matter at this point, because they're just seeing what they can get away with. And now they're doing it on an international scale.
Yeah, and I forgot to talk about it in the last episode, but Marco Rubio is just the dictator in charge of El Salvador said we could send our convicts down there to go to El Salvadorian prisons. And it's
I guess
what?
so.
That's not a thing what? How would that work? Not just sending illegal immigrants, just prisons are full up here. I guess you're going to El Salvador.
They come up with a
He's
lot of
it's a
crazy
really
ideas.
interesting idea. We're going to look into it. Anyway, Republican Senator Josh Hawley said that he doesn't think it's the best use of U.S. resources to spend a bunch of money in Gaza. Thank you, Josh Hawley, I guess. Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina said, obviously, it's not going to happen. I don't know under what circumstance it would even make sense, even for Israel. Now, if Israel's asking for the U.S. to come in and provide some assistance to ensure that Hamas can never do again what they did, I'm in. But us taking over seems like a bit of a stretch. It's important to note how none of the Republican critiques involve concerns over the fact that they would be doing ethnic cleansing to a region once populated by millions and still populated by
Who are now returning home and trying
yeah.
to piece back together whatever lives remain, and now are hearing from across the world that they're just gonna have to leave again, and probably almost certainly never allowed back.
Right. 1948 was not that long ago.
Mhm.
In 1948, they also left, assuming, all right, once this blows over, we can come back. And it's a pretty central part of their culture now is don't make that kind of deal ever again.
Yeah.
So there were also people like our old friend Nancy Mace, who took a moment away from being completely fucking deranged about trans people to say, let's turn Gaza into Mar-a-Lago.
Oh,
And Marjorie Taylor Greene who said, "Under President Trump, America will be the beacon of peace for the world. It's time to change the Middle East in pursuit of ending endless war. And this is exactly how it's done."
That's how you stop endless wars, by giving away someone's land
Doing
to someone
ethnic
else,
cleansing, yeah.
shoving them into a different country. And yeah, you're a person deciding thousands of miles away that people who live in one place no longer live there.
I mean, it is a really interesting aspect of this that doesn't get discussed enough, but like a lot of people on the pro-Israel side of things think that like Arabs are completely interchangeable, even though like the Arab region is quite large.
Yeah.
And they do all speak technically the same language, but like in a lot of ways, not really. But they're like, yeah, a Lebanese person, a Saudi Arabian person.
They'll take them in.
Like, they're all the same. Who cares? They can live anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's very sickening watching the discussion between
Yeah.
Trump and Netanyahu. Regardless, here's what Trump actually said about Gaza through social media posts and during his meeting with Philadelphia native.
Hey, I'm making cheesesteaks over there. Kosher cheesesteaks.
Hey, go Eagles! And obviously, it goes without saying, Netanyahu, of course, supports everything Trump said, and even went to the press afterwards to confirm that.
Yeah.
With more on these plans.
He was like grinning the whole time too.
He was stoked.
Trump's
Stoked to be there.
just like, yeah, Gaza's like, they've been bombed as shit. It's a very fucked up place. And BB's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I did that. Put a sticker on that. I did that.
With more on these plans, here's the BBC. U.S. President Donald Trump has restated a vision in which the U.S. would take over Gaza after officials in his administration appeared to contradict his earlier statements. The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting, Trump said on Thursday. He reiterated that the idea would mean resettling Palestinians and that no U.S. soldiers would be needed. Trump's resettlement idea has prompted accusations that he is planning ethnic cleansing and has drawn condemnation from the UN, human rights groups, and Arab leaders. Analysts doubt it will ever happen. Under his plan, Trump wrote on Truth Social, Gazans would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region. The U.S. would then be a part of an effort to redevelop the enclave, he said. His post did not make clear whether the 2 million residents of the Palestinian territory would be invited to return.
I think the answer is probably no.
Yeah, not to spoil how this ends, but they would not be invited to return.
It's also like, again, he's a real estate guy. Like, this is literally just like, oh, this fucking slum tenement that I've been sitting on for years. Suddenly the area is getting gentrified. I need to get these fucking people out. And I'm going to make a bunch of promises. Oh, yeah, I'll get you set up in a new place, but like, we need to renovate this building.
Yeah.
But once the renovation's done, you can come back.
This is just like with the resignation letters. It's get out and worry about it later. We're going to take care of you. And they will not. They will not take care of anyone.
And it continues. Under international law, attempts to forcibly transfer populations from occupied territory are strictly prohibited. White House spokeswoman Carolyn Leavitt said on Wednesday that any displacement would be temporary. I'm winking.
Yeah.
In his own comments made on the same day, Secretary of State Rubio said the idea was for Gazans to leave the territory for an interim period while debris was cleared and reconstruction took place.
They're lying. They're lying to you.
These views contradicted Trump's initial comments on the matter. Speaking on Tuesday, when he proposed the development of Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East, Trump suggested that the displacement of Palestinians would be permanent.
Now he's telling the truth.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too, he said on Tuesday during a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who called the idea worth paying attention to.
So he's got some pretty wild ideas, huh? I think we should take him at his word. In fact, I'm fully supportive. And no U.S. troops needed. We got everything we need.
Yeah, we won't need any troops.
Joe Biden gave us billions of dollars.
We don't need troops. We're just going to go there. All right, come out. Come out. We're taking you to, well, we're not sure where we're taking you.
Egypt. You guys love Egypt, right? Let's go.
Yeah, and Egypt, they were like the first because they're like, we know what Trump's fucking thinking here. And just so we're fucking clear, no. The answer is no. We are not in a good state right now. We kind of haven't been in a good state for a while, but we can barely... the shit's barely running right now.
Nah, Egypt gets it.
Shit's barely running right now with the population we have.
Yeah. Also, you may remember that because of the whole genocide on the Palestinian people thing, Netanyahu is wanted by the International Criminal Court, the ICC, but that's okay because, ironically enough, just total, wow, can you believe these two things happened on the same day? President Trump just signed an executive order sanctioning the ICC, accusing the body of improperly targeting the United States and Israel. Here's NBC News with more on that. The order includes both financial sanctions and visa restrictions against unspecified ICC officials and their family members found to have assisted in investigations of U.S. citizens or allies. Last November, the ICC sparked bipartisan backlash in Washington by issuing arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and several Hamas leaders simultaneously. The Trump administration order claims this created a shameful moral equivalency. The court said that there was reason to believe that Netanyahu and Gallant used starvation as a method of warfare by restricting humanitarian aid and intentionally targeting civilians in Israel's campaign in Gaza. Charges Israeli officials dismissed as false and anti-Semitic.
Also, those charges are literally based on like actual statements made by those people on camera.
Yeah, and
on camera.
and humanitarian organizations.
Yeah,
many of whose members were killed in these airstrikes.
But Yoav Gallant, who's a really good guy, actually. No, there's like a video of him like talking about doing like a total war siege on Gaza and saying like there's not going to be any food.
Also, very telling that it ends with that it's false, but also it's anti-Semitic for you to say that.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should feel bad. You're doing anti-Semitism by like pointing out the words that we said about what we were going to do
and the
how,
things we did
and how we did those things.
Yes.
Continues. The signing of the executive order Thursday appeared timed to Netanyahu's visit to Washington, which included an Oval Office meeting Tuesday. The ICC's recent actions against Israel and the United States set a dangerous precedent, directly endangering current and former United States personnel, including active service members of the armed forces, by exposing them to harassment, abuse, and possible arrest, said the text of the executive order. The ICC was designed to be a court of last resort, the fact sheet on the executive order reads. Both the United States and Israel maintain robust judiciary systems and should never be subject to the jurisdiction of the ICC.
Cool. Again, this is toothless, and it's just Trump doing more PR stunts to flaunt his relationship with people like Netanyahu and show where his alliances are.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean or do anything.
I mean, I am kind of heartened by the fact that no one is taking this seriously. I mean, you should take it seriously because they are definitely signaling their intentions. But again, it's just so fucking outlandish and so
I'm taking it
stupid.
very seriously. I believe everything he says at this point because the amount of time spent questioning whether or not he's actually going to fucking do something is time wasted on taking him at his word and trying to do anything to stop it.
I mean, like in his last administration, like Jared spent like 4 years coming up with this plan to build like 100-mile long like tunnels connecting like Gaza and the West Bank, and it was like this whole they made a big fucking deal out of it, and it's like, no, this is ridiculous. It's completely impractical. No one believes this is actually going to happen.
Well, finally today, it has been a long time coming, but unfortunately, it might actually be the end of the Department of Education as we know it, because Trump has apparently already drafted an executive order that will attempt to eliminate the department entirely. Say it, Elliot. It's illegal. You can't do that. Say it. Come on.
No, that's what? That's illegal. Stop.
Here's CNN.
Sir, have you no decency?
The move would come in two parts, the sources said. The order would direct the Secretary of Education to create a plan to diminish the department through executive action. Trump would also push for Congress to pass legislation to end the department, as those working on the order acknowledged that shuttering the department would require Congress's involvement. The president said Tuesday he wants his Secretary of Education pick, Linda McMahon, to put herself out of a job. I told Linda, I hope you do a great job in putting yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education department.
Take a chair to the face, as they say in your business.
Bonk. Dozens of employees at the education department were placed on paid administrative leave Friday as part of the Trump administration's larger effort to rid the federal workforce of employees associated with diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility efforts.
Which I guess is just every federal employee. They're all DEI. How is that? That doesn't make sense.
Look at that fucking Texas guy out of here. He has accessibility issues.
Oh yeah, Greg Abbott's woke.
Greg Abbott, yeah.
He's too woke.
That he is a DEI hire.
He is.
Isn't there a white man with legs that can do this job?
Come on.
On the campaign trail, Trump repeatedly pointed to the department as a sign of federal overreach and tied it to culture war issues. We will drain the government education swamp and stop the abuse of your taxpayer dollars to indoctrinate America's youth with all sorts of things you don't want to have our youth hearing, he said. So
Okay, but like,
here goes Elliot again saying you can't do it.
no, I was just like getting rid of the entire like department, the entire Department of Education. Yeah, I guess it won't be woke anymore because it won't fucking exist.
Can't be woke if it
Like,
isn't there.
It's all been just like throwing out not just the baby with the bathwater, but throwing out just like an entire school bus full of babies with the bathwater.
Knocking the house
Just being
over.
like, all right, I fixed it.
Yeah. Hey, baby bathwater doesn't exist because the house is gone.
Yeah, you sorry, you got rats in your house?
Yeah.
Well, now you have no fucking house. I
Yeah.
burned it to the ground.
Exactly.
No more rats.
Problem solved. Problem solved. This Sunday, big game Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday. Come see us live at Dynasty Typewriter in Los Angeles, California, alongside some folks from Smosh and also the Willems. And we will be having a fun little comedy trivia show for everyone at 4 p.m. on Sunday. That's Pacific time because it happens in LA. But if you're not there, you can watch online. You can watch live or on VOD. There's a link in the description. I don't think you can sell out an online thing, but let's sell it out.
Yeah, invite your friends over. Everyone, make it a potluck.
I'm going to fight Jake Paul.
Pick up a lot of chips and popcorn.
Yeah.
And, you gamble on it. You
No.
can gamble on it.
Don't
Make
do
some
it.
prop bets.
But what you should really do, if you don't want to do any of that, is make sure you like the video, leave a like, click the like button right now. Do it all this time that I'm wasting talking about it. You could be doing it. There you go. Leave a comment, talk about anything we spoke about today, or just vent your frustrations below. Make sure you're subscribed. Click the join button. Click the thank button.
Click every button.
Do whatever you want.
Pull out all the wires.
We'll be back with Weekly Weird News, which is probably going to be about some weird American news. But we'll see you soon.
Bye.